Steven, I think they're ready for us. You ready?
Uh-huh.
So what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of We Got Next with two of your co-hosts, whereas even if we don't communicate, we're still on the same page regardless. So shout out to Steven
I
on
know.
that one. We have a decent amount to talk about because we're so close to the season. So I'm really excited for that. And then just to kind of dive into some of the running back talk, it's what's going to be the main thing. As always, just make sure you end up tuning into the spaces that are every Monday and then listen out and tune in to Steven's quick slants that he has been putting out. You can always tell that the football season is right around the corner because Steven starts to crank them out like it's no tomorrow. Make sure you listen to them. I'm always trying to tag various different either Penn State things to
Yeah.
just like let people
One
know,
day. One
yeah,
day.
one day. And it just takes that one because what Steven is saying, you start to end up seeing on like the AP All American list, the preseason. Of course, you know, the left tackle, he was a part of the AP All American preseason
Mhm.
results. So that's something we'll definitely touch on. But talk about the quick slants and kind of touch on what I was just mentioning of your famous left tackle.
Yes. We'll start with him. Olu Fashanu. He's from down this way, went to Gonzaga High School. He was actually, fun fact, he was actually the left tackle in high school for Caleb Williams, the
Really?
Heisman Trophy winner from USC. So he was a three-star guy. Caleb Williams was a five-star, everyone knew who he was, but Olu was a three-star. He's only started 9 games. He played all last season up until the Ohio State game, which I think was the seventh game of the season or something like that. And then he got hurt and then missed the rest of the season. So he's healthy, ready to go. Yeah, he was projected to be a top 10 pick last draft, but came
Mm,
back, which is huge, like fucking huge.
yeah.
And then he's projected to be a top 5 pick this year, and potentially, if things fall a certain way, he could be the number 1 pick in the draft, which would be dope. Because you don't get those left tackles all the time. I
No.
mean, Bama seems to have them all the time, and Georgia's getting them all the time now. But you don't
Right.
have like a All American left tackle every other year.
Mm-mm.
Penn State hasn't had one since probably 2005, 2006. His name was Levi Brown. Shout out to Levi Brown. Shout out to Levi Brown, man. It was the 6th or 7th overall pick in 2006 by the Cardinals. So shout out to Levi Brown.
Shout out.
I do have a special guest tomorrow.
Okay.
My brother-in-law BJ, his brother
Mm.
Andrew is gonna be my special guest. He's
Oh,
been he's been hitting me up a bunch to be on, and I said let me finish the Penn State stuff, do like little previews, and then I'll have you on. So we're gonna talk top 25, playoffs, Heisman. He's a big sports gambler, so we're gonna talk about that a bunch. Teams he's bet on. To shoot the shit about college football, and we'll give like predictions for the playoffs and all that kind of good stuff. But then next week on Thursday, I'm gonna be doing my solo dolo season preview, like I normally do, routine
mm-hmm.
on Thursday night. So that'll be that. I'm gonna start putting out all the episodes I've done already, put those out, and I will tweet those out here in the coming days. Also, really quick, I went golfing on. I don't know if you saw the thread I tweeted about. I went golfing on Monday. I'm gonna get more to Monday when I get to my what you got.
Mm-hmm.
Monday I went golfing, played 18 holes on
Yeah.
the yeah, it was great. Um, I played 9 holes with an Ohio State guy. He was
Oh, wow.
72, like old school guy.
Yeah.
Ohio State through and through. Grew up in Dayton. Entire family went to Ohio State. Like he's basically me at 72. His knowledge is crazy. It was great. I asked him what Ohio State fans think of the season coming up, and he said real fans who follow the program know 9-3, 10-2 is what they'd be happy with. 10-2 at best, which is
Really?
like a really really subpar season for them. 11 wins is usually what they go for. But he said he was talking a lot about Penn State's quarterback, Drew Aller. Obviously, I have as well. He said all Ohio State fans wanted him, but it was too late at that point. They don't know who the quarterback is. They have all the talent in the world at a receiver, but no one's gonna give him the ball and yada yada yada. True Ohio State fans know it's Penn State's year if they're going to do anything. So it was interesting to hear him say that, him being like a lifelong Ohio State fan. So shout out
Mm-hmm.
to him. But yeah, coming days, I'll put out some more quick slants tomorrow. Got my brother-in-law's brother on, um, Andrew, and then next Thursday we'll start the regular season of the quick slants, and Penn State kicks off next Saturday
Yes.
night,
Yep. Who are they
seven
playing?
30. West Virginia right now is a 20-point spread for Penn State. Shout
Oh,
out to the
dang.
boys,
Shout
and
out.
number 7 in the AP poll, just to put that out there as well.
Yep. And so it goes into our hot topic that we end up having, talking about college football. The two things that I want to bring up are important in different ways. The first one is Reggie Bush. So
Mm,
with Reggie Bush, he has essentially been filing a lawsuit for defamation against the NCAA. One, what are your thoughts before I kind of give mine on this? And do you think he should get his Heisman back?
yes. Anyone who says otherwise is an idiot because
Yeah.
he did what every other college player did in their entire career.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, Reggie Bush is the GOAT for our generation. Like, I love Michael Vick, but more NFL Michael Vick than college because I was still too young to like watch and appreciate him. Reggie Bush was like that first like mega superstar college football player for us. Like
Yeah.
Tim Tebow came along, Cam Newton came along, guys like that. But like that was after Reggie Bush, like Vince Young, Matt Leinart, all those dudes. So I remember when Penn State played Ohio State last year, they did the big noon kickoff, right? And he was there. And like I saw him from a distance. Like, I was walking with Jay Hill and I was like, yo, that's Reggie Bush. Like that's like fanboy type of stuff. Like I wouldn't know what to do if I was
Yeah.
saying if I met him, I wouldn't even know what to do. So he's that guy. He should definitely get his Heisman back. I mean that's a pretty simple answer, but he's definitely I'll watch his highlights all the time.
Yeah.
He was too nice in college. Too nice, bro.
He he was, and the way they kind of are doing this whole situation, I don't agree with it. And I think they're just trying to,
Just give it back to him. Just do
that's
it.
really what it
Just
is.
do it.
Yeah, like he can't be a part of any of the commercials or anything. He's missing out on so much money because they're holding this away from him.
It's
Because you think about
unfortunate.
all those different Heisman commercials that you end up having, and he can't be a part of it. So it
Yep.
kind of goes into another thing that we do talk about here and there, but I do have to give a shout out to Asia Wilson for scoring 53 points. We always talk about 50 points is 50 points, kind of regardless. Of course, back when like LaMelo was scoring 80, 90 points,
Yeah.
like of course he was cherry picking, but it was still 80,
Fine.
90 points.
Yeah.
And then
So
the way, go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, the way Asia Wilson did it, she only had one 3-pointer and she had 20 free throws made.
Okay.
So she did it in a different way because that was kind of straight in the paint. Yes, I know she's that much better than the competition, and then the Aces are the premier team in the WNBA, but 50 points is almost like when they would score 60, 70 in the NBA. Like 50 points is
It's a
difficult, plus
lot.
with the time and the
It's a lot.
quarters and stuff like
It's a
that.
lot.
But what is your quick take before we go to finance?
Okay. Well, you know how I feel. Um, I will say this though, and this goes for like anything in sports. Like I don't care what it is. Like you got to go out and do it. Like I posted all the Drew Aller highlights on Twitter, like that I went through was watching the film, and I had someone tell me, like I think it was my cousin. He said he's doing it against like the backups. I'm like, I don't care. You still
Hmm.
got to go out, make the reads, get the ball out on time, get the ball in front of the receiver. Like, don't put it where you guys are gonna get hit, or like don't throw a bad throw, or don't like step up in the pocket. Do all the things that you need to do to be a good player. Like you need to do that. Like for her, like it's 20 points, whatever, 25, 30. Like you gotta go out and do it. And like that she did it. That like, I mean, yeah, give her props. 53
Hmm.
points is a lot in the game. A lot.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, good for her. Shout out.
Shout out. So the other things I want to go quickly into the finance world and then we'll go into the sports. First thing I want to talk about because I this is one of my favorite companies that I always like to bring up, but Nvidia. So Nvidia had their earnings report today. They were already sitting at an all-time high, which is insane. And I was over here thinking, all right, there's no way it can continue going up. But what they just said is sales this quarter jumped 170%, driven by their AI chips. And anyone that knows about NVIDIA, they're big on their microchips. That's kind of the big thing that they work off of. Their revenue increased by 88% this quarter, which is insane. They're already sitting at over $1 billion market cap. So that's just kind of another thing just to give props to them. I'm trying to look up, I don't know why it's not letting me, but I want to end up seeing what their current price. I guess Google's not working today, but their
Ooh,
price last I
nothing.
saw was sitting at was sitting at over five. Okay, so it's sitting at $502 currently. After hours, it's up 6%. Which anybody that knows the stock market, that's a lot to be up. They're up $30. When they closed, they were sitting at $471, and now after hours they're at $502. I end up selling, believe it or not, because I said sometimes you end up buy the rumor, sell the news. I sold a lot of my shares at $466, so clearly I missed out on like $40 or so. Yeah.
Sheesh.
So, and then I end up thinking I had around 11 or 12 shares
Big
of
dog.
this. So you start to end up adding up all this numbers
Big
and math.
dog.
and
Big dog.
and the
Jeez.
craziest part is I ended up holding it since it was probably at 200 or so dollars. And I just looked at it, I was like, shit, why didn't I just hold it for longer? But that's the one thing. The other thing I want to talk about is the heist. So I've talked about them numerous times. That's my Apes Chimps Gorillas game, and they're just continuing to kill it. I probably have 70 to 80% of my crypto portfolio in the heist, and everything's just kind of killing it. So if you don't know anything about the heist, I put out numerous threads about it. I've retweeted numerous people about it. The other part I want to bring up are two coins.
Oh boy.
And I'm going to say it only once because a lot of people would not understand. I tell this to people, they don't even understand what I say. The first one is the People's Bitcoin. The ticker is Bitcoin. What the crypto is Harry Potter Obama Sonic 10 Inu. The
Don't
the
even just go. Just
The
go.
other one is the People's Pepe, not the regular Pepe. The ticker is Pepe, and what it is Harry Pepe. I've been in it since it was probably at 0.004, and now it's currently sitting at 0.09. So I got in when it was probably a $450,000 market cap. Last I checked, it was sitting at around 900,000. So it's a 2x. I'm just waiting for it to end up hitting $1.8 million market cap, and then I was just going to get out. Will that happen? I don't really know. I didn't put in that much. That was kind of the big thing about it. I don't know if I can even find it because there's so many of the well shit, it kind of fell off a lot. But I'm still up. But that's the only thing I want to talk about there. Finally, D gods end up switching around their points parlor. That was a big topic of conversation because they were saying they were not focusing on dust and they need to figure out ways to implement sinks and stuff like that into dust. If you're wondering what the hell do I mean by sinks and things like that within a cryptocurrency, just listen to my spaces that I did on Monday. I broke down all of this. Don't want to end up diving too much into that side. Final thing I want to talk about for anyone out there, this is not crypto related, it's just social media related. There's two different ones. There's one called Threads, and that's through Meta and Facebook. And the other one is Friends Tech. So Friends Tech, essentially, before it was you could end up buying shares of a person. So, for example, if Steven wanted to end up creating his own Friends Tech, they could buy shares within Steven. They would be a part of his group chat or whatever, and then the shares would end up going up and he would end up getting money back from it. They changed the word shares for legality reasons and they made it keys. So you end up purchasing keys of a person just so that the SEC and everyone doesn't come after you with that. The other one is Threads. So Threads is from Meta and then Instagram. Essentially, it's just another social media platform to kind of compete with Twitter. They want to end up having like tweets and then having different voice calls and stuff like that. So that's the two things over there. Final thing is D Gods is sitting at under. They at one point were sitting at under 4 Ethereum. That's wild, especially when I was in, they were at 10 Ethereum. I don't have a D God right now, but you're sitting at under 3.5 Ethereum. So you end up just doing that simple math 6 times 2,000. That's over like a good amount of money, $12,000 you end up losing if you held on to that. But you guys didn't come for that part. If you want to hear more about NVIDIA, I could talk about it at a different time. But we came for our final edition of Sports of Everything. I don't know how it lined up this way, but it did that we're going to close with the close with the divisions, and we're going to close with the rankings. So to give us enough time for everything, we're going to talk about the NFC East. That's the last one. I will give my quick 2 thoughts on it, then I'll toss it over to the one and only to give his initial thoughts on everything. The different teams we have in the NFC East are the Cowboys, the Commanders, the Giants, and the Eagles. Commanders announced their starting quarterback of Sam Howell. I don't think it's really going to make a difference, but their offense does seem like it's moving and grooving a little bit at least. One thing I will say, and this might be the Gatorade talk of the town and my hot take, I think Jahan Dotson's going to be maybe the number 1 receiver in that offense. I don't think it's necessarily going to be
Shout out to
Terry
Penn State.
McLaurin. Yeah, shout out. That's something I don't watch a lot of preseason games, but because I'm trying to think about next year, do I want to end up getting involved within the Commanders and tickets? I watched the game and they threw it to Jahan Dotson a lot more then they threw it to Terry McLaurin. And one, Eric Bieniemy likes speedy receivers, so that's probably part of it. It's easy to just get it there. And when you have a younger quarterback, you want to just get it to him quick. The defense, they have their different things that they're working on over there. Defense is not bad. Chase Young, I don't even know if this man's going to be on the team at the rate they keep talking about it. They keep acting like they're going to trade him or send him somewhere else. The Cowboys are the Cowboys. They're not going to win the Super Bowl, so don't worry. The next time they win the Super Bowl, I promise you, Steven's kids will be over the age of 21. So, yeah, at the rate it's going, they don't even know if they want Dak Prescott. If you have Dak Prescott, who knows what's going to happen? You only have CeeDee Lamb. Tony Pollard, you're believing in him, but he did come off an injury, so I don't know how that's going to work. The Giants are the Giants. My other hot take, and I'll bring this up in the tight end rankings. Yes, Saquon's going to be solid, but you're going to be throwing this to Jalen Hyatt, and you're also going to be throwing to Darren Waller. Those are going to be the two that I think will have good seasons. Darren Waller, if he could be anything like he was before, he could be solid. Just have Saquon on the ground, Darren Waller in the air. You don't have to worry about nothing else. Then the Eagles are going to be the Eagles. I really don't know who's going to be the number one receiver. It could be Smith. It could be Brown. It just depends on how Hurts is feeling any given Sunday. But I believe that the Eagles are going to end up winning that division again. That's my easy thoughts. Your go.
Okay. Solid. Commanders, yeah, we'll just skip over them. I think the Cowboys, I do shout out to Jahan Johnson, though. They do have, like, their receiving core isn't terrible. Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson, and Terry McLaurin. Like, that's pretty solid. But I don't really trust Sam Howell that much. So there's that. Defense is gonna let him down probably a bunch, but it is what it is. So there's them. I think the Cowboys, the Giants, and the Eagles all have three MVP candidates. The Cowboys have Michael Parsons, not Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
The Giants have Saquon, and the Eagles have Jalen Hurts, who obviously was right there last year, right? So I think if the Giants are healthy, I think they would win it if Saquon Barkley stays healthy.
Yeah.
So if they stay healthy, I think that they can win the division and be a really strong contender for the Super Bowl. Because the NFC isn't like I think it's gonna be the winner of this division is probably gonna do the Super Bowl.
That's really what it's gonna be. You're talking the NFC South or the NFC West?
No, not the only team from NFC West would be the Niners, but I don't trust their quarterback in any capacity. Like, I don't trust Brock Purdy at all. Like, Giants offense, though, Daniel Jones is, I think, like, if we're playing overrated, underrated, or properly rated, I would say he's probably either properly rated or maybe a slightly underrated. I think because everything's been on him because Saquon's been hurt. He hasn't really had a chance to, like, settle in a little bit. We saw he's had moments, but that's it, just moments, nothing like consistent.
Yeah.
Darius Slayton, Paris Campbell, I think is a huge pickup for them. Huge pickup. So I think Evan Neal at right tackle looks really solid. Andrew Thomas at right tackle, and then Andrew Thomas at left tackle looks extremely solid. Their defense is great too. Leonard Williams came over from the Jets a couple years ago. Kayvon Thibodeau. I think this is his second year. Big year for him now. Like, he's got to, like, because I think he could be one of the premier DNs in the league. So he's got to start waking up. Dexter Lawrence, Dory Jackson, Xavier McKinney. I think the Giants have a really, really good team. You mentioned Jalen Hyatt, Sterling Shepard. I think they have a really good team. Eagles, are they going to be as good as they were last year? Chances are not likely, right? They could because they have Jalen Hurts, but I think losing Miles Sanders is tough because he could do so much. I knew you got DeAndre Swift, but it's would you rather have Miles Sanders or DeAndre Swift? Miles Sanders, right?
Clearly, yeah. I
mean, I would say
they don't even have a workhorse there.
No, they don't. And Rashad Penny's the backup. Shout out to Boston. Shout out to Boston Scott just collecting checks.
He is
good for him. Devontae Smith or AJ Brown. Though you're like, it's like you can go either way. I don't know who you think is better, AJ Brown or Devontae Smith. Probably AJ Brown, right?
I would say
not by much.
No.
I think not by much. Dallas Goddard. So they have a strong team. Jalen Carter. I mean,
They talk about him.
all the time.
He is.
All the time. You wouldn't think there's anyone else playing on defense.
Nope.
So, Hassan Riddick, and Kobe Dean. I mean, you mentioned like everybody on their defense is from Georgia. Darius Slay, Terrell Edmonds, Brandon Graham's back again. Fletcher Cox. Like they have a really solid defense. They lost some pieces, but I think Jalen Carter in the middle, I think is going to be just enormous for them. But I think it's I think if Saquon Barkley stays healthy, I think he's like a really strong MVP caliber player. So I think if he stays healthy, the Giants win it. I think if he's like not that guy and like or gets hurt, I think the Eagles win it. Also, I think Michael Parsons wins Defensive Player of the Year. I think
it's starting to be his.
Yeah, if TJ Watt didn't have 22 and a half sacks 2 years ago, he would have won it. I mean, probably. But I think this is his year. But I don't know if that doesn't mean the Giants are or the Cowboys are gonna be the team in the NFC East. They're still the Cowboys, and Dak Prescott is still inconsistent. I still think they should have never traded Amari Cooper. I think that was terrible. But I think Parsons is going to be that guy this year. But I'm going to go with either a healthy Giants team or a healthy Saquon Barkley Giants team or the Eagles. But if I had to pick, I'm going to say the Giants. I think Saquon stays healthy this year.
So that's my big thing with the Eagles. Their schedule is also going to be tougher. It's every single year when you're at the top, your schedule is going to be tougher. That's kind of a big thing. And the Giants weren't slouches last year.
No, they were good. Like they were just Saquon was just still trying to get back in the swing of things.
Yeah,
I think having also you mentioned it, Darren Waller he's nice, bro.
Yes,
I think if he's healthy, I mean, obviously everything is predicated on the team staying healthy for the entire season. We know that, but if he stays healthy and becomes that guy like he was in Oakland, yeah, for sure, sign me up.
Yeah. So the last thing I want to talk about there, and then we're going to segue into the tight ends and quarterback is, and I was talking to my barber's a Giants fan. So it's always good conversation because him being a Giants, I'm an Eagles fan, and everything is just on the back of Daniel Jones. This team can go super far, but it depends on Daniel Jones.
He's got to have like a 33 and like 7 interception type of season. One of those like big gaps.
All he has to do is just be like Kirk Cousins, and they're fine. You don't have to do
yeah,
much.
You're right.
You don't have to
you're
do
right.
Much. Just don't turn the ball over.
Make a couple good throws a game.
Yes.
Don't turn the ball over. Like don't take sacks. Just dump it off to Saquon or like you have a ton of weapons this year. You have a ton of weapons. Yeah. You have 2 anchors at right and left tackle. Like you have a really good defense. That's it. Like there you go. And you got paid. So like you're good, bro. You're good. Go ball.
Yes. So that brings us, because we talked also about Daniel Jones, our quarterback and tight end rankings, and then we're done with all this. Next week, we have a decent amount of draft talk that we'll end up bringing up and like our thoughts and everything. But do you want to start us off with the quarterbacks?
Sure. I will go with my honorable mentions.
Okay.
I had Dak because you never know. He could be a top 5 quarterback or he could be, not even on the board. Kenny Pickett. I think it's one of those guys who could have a really, really strong season. I just don't know how much faith I have in him yet. Scale of 1 to 10, I'm probably at like a strong 6, maybe a 7, maybe a soft 7 yet, but not there yet. Derek Carr in New Orleans. I think if Michael Thomas is healthy, like again, another thing predicated on someone saying healthy. Right. You can probably guarantee by week 6 we'll be done.
He's gonna be done.
Like out for the season, ankle injury, some shit like that. But if he could get things going in a dome, I think he'll thrive in that. And then Geno Smith. I think Geno Smith can go 1 or 2 ways. I think he can easily, if Jackson Smith and Jigba is healthy, again, another one I know, but he's having wrist surgery right now. And they say he's gonna be out for 3 or 4 weeks, probably gonna be good by the time the season starts, but whatever. He's got to be that third option with him, Lockett, and DK Metcalf. So I think Geno's a wild card. I think Geno's also a wild card for the MVP. So I would not count him out on that too. Seahawks defense though is trash. So he probably won't get a lot of love because they're probably gonna be like closer to 500 than 14-2 or whatever. So I'll go number 10. Actually, I'm gonna switch. Shit.
So while you're
Yeah, I'm gonna
doing
switch
that,
these two guys. Okay, I got number 10. I got Trevor Lawrence. I switched him. So this is gonna be really, really strong. So at 10, I originally had Joe Burrow. Okay.
wow,
Yeah.
wow,
So I think I just don't know. Um, I don't know. I like Joe Burrow. I don't know. I don't know. I feel weird. But I switched him with Trevor Lawrence. So now I have Burrow at number 6 and
what?
Trevor Lawrence at number 10. I think Lawrence has more weapons, like all together, running back, tight end, and receiver. Like he is like loaded everywhere. And they have a
Yeah,
really good defense. Um, Joe Burrow, I think teams are gonna take away Jamar Chase. And I don't like I like T. Higgins, but I like him as like number 2. I
I
don't
didn't know
like him
he went
as
to Clemson.
huh?
I didn't know T. Higgins
Oh,
was at
dude, their
Clemson
their
with
receiver
Trevor
core for like
Lawrence.
yeah, their receiving core for a while was stacked, like year after year too, because they had Sammy Watkins, they had Martavis Bryant, they had DeAndre Hopkins. I think they all were all on the same team. Oh man.
They were.
Um, but yeah, and that division is going to be rough too. The AFC North. I think that's gonna be very tough as well. So I switched Burrow and Trevor Lawrence. The AFC South is, I think I think we said that was the easiest one to pick, right? The AFC
Yeah,
South with the Jags kind of maybe not running away with it, but like probably right,
yeah.
give or take. So there's that. Number 9, I can move him up a bunch too. Aaron Rodgers, I have at number
Mm,
9. I really want to put him higher, but it's the Jets, so I'm just not sold on everybody else yet. I think him and Garrett Wilson are going to be a great duo, but like who else is going to show up? I think Dalvin Cook's going to take a lot of pressure off of that equation, but I still think it's like they're still the Jets, so like I got to see it first, and I got
yeah.
to see him. I got to see him play. Like it's cool to talk about it. It's cool to talk about the Jets, but I got to see him play. Like I know it's Aaron Rodgers, and I said this last week. I know it's Aaron Rodgers, but like I got to see him play. So there's that. Number 8, Daniel Jones. Just talk
Yeah.
about it. I think he's gonna have a big season. I think he's got paid. He's got his weapons. He's got a really good offensive line. I think the division isn't up for grabs, but I think they're probably looked at as a second best team with all the talent they have. Number 7, this thing will surprise you, Justin Fields. I hate him. I
Mm,
can't stand him because he went to Ohio State. But I think they're going to use him a lot like Baltimore uses Lamar Jackson.
hmm.
Like he could go 1,000 yards rushing too, for sure. I think he could have one like those, 3,600 yard seasons passing and then 1,000 yards rushing and be it for the MVP. But they're still going to suck because they're the Bears.
Yeah.
So like I don't think they're going to go from 3-13 to 13-3 type of deal, but closer to 500. But that division, not up for grabs, but they could make a case for the second best team if he has a really good season. Number 5, number 6, I have Joe Burrow. Number 5, Justin Herbert. You can bank on him throwing 25 touchdowns, 30 touchdowns, probably whatever it is,
Yeah.
and just putting up stupid yards. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and then Austin
Quentin
Eckler.
Johnson.
I think I mean, that division again, not for grabs. I think we decided that the Chiefs are going to run away with that one, but
Hmm.
you don't know what the Broncos are going to do with Russell Wilson, and then the Raiders, Raiders. So it is what it is. But he's always going to put up crazy numbers. He'll always be like top 3 in passing yards and probably up there with touchdown passes. Again, another healthy thing if they stay healthy. Number 4, Lamar Jackson. I don't want to put him up that high, but numbers wise, he could have a stupid season. With if Odell, I think it's all going to depend on Odell Beckham though. If he's like that Odell from the Giants, yeah, then I think they can have a fucking like almost undefeated season probably. That could be. And J.K. Dobbins is another thing. J.K. Dobbins takes a lot of pressure off Lamar Jackson, but he's got to stay healthy.
If he healthy, yeah.
Not stay healthy. So there's that too. So that could take Lamar from like 4 if he's got that, because we saw what he did when he had J.K. Dobbins, won the MVP,
Hmm.
or he could be off the board. Number 3, Jalen Hurts. I think his numbers speak for themselves. You know what he does. Josh Allen. Josh Allen and number one, Mahomes are the only two quarterbacks that I like really trust to like
Yes.
do their thing. Like the only two quarterbacks in the league that we've seen like consistently. I know Mahomes is like the gap between Patrick Mahomes and everybody else is like really significant, like really big. But Josh Allen is like the closest one I think to that. I know Jalen Hurts just took his team to the Super Bowl, but I guess you do it again. Like Josh Allen has been to the playoffs a couple of times. That's why I don't want to put Lamar up that high because he didn't shit the playoffs, but he puts up crazy numbers. That's what it's all about. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah.
So I got Mahomes at 1, Josh Allen, Hurts, Lamar, Herbert at 5, Burrow at 6, Fields at 7, Daniel Jones at 8, Aaron Rodgers at 9, Trevor Lawrence at 10.
Okay.
Boom.
So what's wild is normally Steven and I do not have things damn near closer eye to eye, but quarterback and tight end, I believe we're going to have super close. So my honorable mentions, Geno Smith,
Yep.
Derek Carr,
Yep.
and I actually have 2 more, Tua and Captain Kirk. And Tua, it really depends on so many different variables. One, is his offensive line going to protect him?
Right.
Because if he can't protect them, that's something else. And Kirk, if he could just throw it in the air, the 3 weapons he has with Addison, Jefferson, and Hawkinson, you are solid. And don't sleep on, of course, we didn't bring him up in the running backs, but Alexander Madison, that's his backfield. So if he can end up doing something there, but my top 10, a little different. The top 3 were the same. Number 10, Justin Fields. Number 9, Aaron Rodgers.
Wow.
Number 8, I got to go with one of my quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence. Number 7, and Trevor Lawrence, people are going to sleep on that wide receiver core. That's solid. All he has to do is chuck it up there to somebody. Someone's going to, and they're saying Calvin Ridley runs these routes much faster than Christian Kirk. That's insane.
And I like Evan Ingram down there too.
Yes.
Sleeper.
Yeah.
And shout out to Penn State again, Parker Washington. And Brandon Strange at tight end. Let's go.
See?
Anyway.
Number 7, Daniel Jones. Because again, the weapons of what he has. Number 6, Lamar Jackson. I need him to be healthy and to be able to show people, because of course he's saying he can throw it. They're saying he can throw it. You have 2 good weapons.
And no wristband either.
And no wristband. So they're putting on, which I honestly personally feel, if you're making $50 million,
you gotta be able to, you don't need that shit, bro. Come on. That's embarrassing. That is embarrassing, bro.
Knowing this, the same way Tua recited that one to the media, everyone should be doing that stuff and knowing exactly what's going to happen. You're getting 50+ million. I promise you, I'll memorize everything.
Yeah,
50
everything,
million.
Dude.
Oh,
everything.
Don't worry. I'll put everything to the side for 50 million.
Yep.
Number 5, we're the same, Justin Herbert. Number 4, Joe Burrow. I honestly believe he is better than Justin Herbert, although those 2 are very different in the way they play. Herbert will run if he needs to, but he's a gunslinger from out west. Joe Burrow, he's your prototypical quarterback. He's just going to be in the pocket and stuff. And of course, number 3, Jalen Hurts. Number 2, my guy who I always love him to death, Josh Allen. And then the gap is like so wide.
It's big, dude.
Patrick Mahomes is number 1, but it's not even close. And then we'll go to the tight ends, but it's super quick. I doubt there's honorable mentions or anything. It's just like a solid top 5 to 7. Number 1, I don't think we need to discuss because I assume we have the same, Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's your number 2?
Darren Waller.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's gonna have a really big season.
So then here's the thing. Who's your number 3?
Mark Andrews.
Okay, we just have those switch. I have number 2.
Wow.
Mark Andrews.
I knew when you mentioned Darren Waller, I knew you were gonna have him high.
Yep. Number 3 is Darren Waller. And what's wild is, so I had him last year in a keeper league I'm in. I had Darren Waller, but I think I drafted him in the 5th round or so. Ooh, and then if you have a keeper, then he gets moved up 2 rounds. So I don't view him as a 3rd round tight end, but I really think a lot of people need to end up picking up. Darren Waller is going to be one of the main people in that offense.
Sure.
Who's your number 4?
Evan Ingram.
Okay.
he can either be really high or really low because they have so many weapons.
Yes, I feel the same way.
But I think he's like that hybrid guy. You can put him out in the slot too.
And that's the thing. They have so many weapons, like you said, so it can be hit or miss. My number 4 is, if this man does it correctly, Captain Kirk, TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah, I have him at 5.
Okay, so then there you go. So your number 5 is TJ Hawkinson. My
Yep.
number 5, and it really depends on what happens out west, George Kittle.
Oh yeah. Oh,
So
duh. Oh, dude, I didn't even. Yeah, no, I would. Yeah, I completely forgot about George Kittle.
well,
I would put him at. I would put him at 3 actually,
that's the thing.
ahead of Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I have Kelsey, Darren Waller, yeah, George Kittle now, Mark Andrews, Evan Ingram, Hawkinson, and then Pat Fryermuth. I'll make my top 7.
Okay. Um,
Mm.
and then yeah,
Okay.
TJ. So what's wild is
Next.
my number 1 is Kelsey, number 2 is Andrews, number 3 is Darren Waller, number 4 is Hawkinson, number 5 is George Kittle, but those two are both contingent upon the quarterback play. Number 6
True.
is Pat Fryermuth.
Yeah.
And then number 7, I have Evan Ingram. But there's only really
It's very
a
simple.
one.
Like a lot of those guys are interchangeable.
Yes, there's only, if you're drafting, there's only one you're caring about for starters, and that's Travis Kelsey.
Yeah.
But what you got for everyone?
So Monday, wife and kids are still down the beach. So I had Monday to myself. I took the
Mm-hmm.
entire day off, right? So we talk about mental health as like a real thing, but like no one ever does anything about their mental health.
Yeah.
So I took the entire day off. I played golf in the morning, played 18 holes in the morning, came home, ran 4 miles. I went to get a good workout in, like did all that shit. I came home and I just turned the music on and just like fucking jammed out the entire day. Fucking
Mm,
I cleaned the house and got everything tidy, but I just had a me day. I just had like a nice mental reset day, just chilled all day, made myself a good dinner,
okay.
went for a walk at night, just had like a good day, just like to do things that I wanted to do with no one
Yep.
yelling my name. Didn't have to like wipe anyone's ass, didn't have to make anyone
Mm-hmm.
breakfast, didn't have to like get any, like answer any questions from anybody. I didn't work, stayed away from my laptop. I just like had the tunes going on all day, like just chilling, man. And it was a beautiful day. Um, yeah, golf was good. But yeah, like everyone needs to do that. I feel like
Yeah.
when you think about taking PTO, you don't want to because it's almost like, am I gonna get fired if I take PTO? I feel like
That's what I'm
that's
saying.
a real fear.
Yeah.
You can't take PTO. Like that's why it's there for. Like that's why it's there. Like take the paid time off.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do it. I strongly recommend taking a personal day and just like if you have a family, get rid of them. Like not
Yeah.
if
Get rid of them.
you have a family, like leave them for the day. Like don't
Yeah.
spend the entire day without your family. Like I check, like my wife would check in and Brooke would call me or whatever or text me. I would take my time responding and just like do my own thing. So
Mm-hmm.
everyone needs to take their own personal day and just take a day off and just mentally do everything that you want to do that day with no one telling you what to do. So
Mm-hmm. I
10 out of
agree.
10 recommend it.
Yeah. So I guess the two things that I have, one, India went to the moon. They had a spacecraft
Yeah.
lined up going to
No
the
one's
moon,
talking
which
about
is
that. Like, what the
no,
fuck, dude? No one's talking about
exactly.
that. That was
I
the most casual. That was the most casual update I've ever gotten in my life.
because they don't want anyone else to go to the moon outside of the US.
What?
That's kind of like the big thing. So with them going to the moon, it was
That's
like
crazy.
a wild thing. The other thing that I want to bring up, and we'll touch on this because we have a couple of days to bring this up. What's going to happen with Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout? That's a big topic of conversation.
44th home run tonight, though.
Exactly.
Wow.
Me personally, I don't think they're going to be able to keep him. Like, you just can't be losing games and stuff like that. Other than that, I'm excited to talk about college football next week
Oh yeah.
because we'll be able to talk about week 0, but then we'll also be able to talk about week 1 coming up as well. But until next time, we out.
Peace.